Recording from Sandy, Utah, you're listening to Idiot to Genius. Hello, my name's Steph Schull.
And I'm Utah Todd with the Sure Group at eXp Realty. Each episode focuses on individuals that found themselves desiring more. If you're feeling like an idiot, join the club.
Today's guest is a walking example of what happens when God steps into a wrecked life and rebuilds it from the inside out. From Grammy contending rocker to addict, from jail cells to rock bottoms, from losing everything to building one of the fastest growing specialty food brands in the South. He is the founder of Apastioli Specialty Foods, the author of From Bars to Jars, the host of the Low Country Lunatics podcast, and the visionary behind the 1,716-acre Apastioli Farms. But more than anything, he is proof that no one is ever too far gone for a comeback. Welcome, Joe Gallagher Jr., Chef Giuseppe.
So it's an honor and a pleasure. I get to do this today, and that's shocking to me.
Your history and what you've gone through, but more than that, what you have become is just absolutely inspiring. Let's start off at we were all born, and there's always a beginning. With your upbringing and so forth, from what I've been able to gather, it is a little bit on the rough side. I think that might be easy to say, right?
Yeah. To put it lightly, yeah. I had a good, loving family. It wasn't that there was never a lack of love, but addiction just runs through it all. It's a family disease, and so there's been some traumatic experiences, some violence. Not like I was never beaten by my parents or anything like that. Well, my mother, she might have had to hit me with a wooden spoon a few times. The phone, cordless phones, whatever she could get her hands on when I was, being a little too wild.
Yes.
But no, I mean, it was just I always felt different, out of place, and then outside of the home and in the church, there was some sexual misconduct, we'll say, and then furthermore, I started. I think becoming a target because I had that one experience. I left myself open, and then it went the other way where I became super isolated and defensive and explosive and filled with anger and rage towards God, towards people, towards myself, and just it really messed me up.
I can only imagine what that would do, especially as you're growing up, your formative years. Let's put it that way. During your formative years. So at what point, when was the exact moment, I guess, that you realized you weren't just ruining your career or that you were literally killing yourself?
I mean, my last drink, I was puking up blood, and I was about 70 pounds heavier than I am now. I was in bad shape. I couldn't hold down water.
Wow.
I had bleeding ulcers. Yeah, drinking around the clock, countless vain attempts to prove that I could drink like normal people, and I can't.
Yes. Isn't that a common occurrence though for alcoholics? I mean, they're always convincing themselves I'm normal. I don't have those kind of problems. Denial.
Correct. Yeah. The pain had to get great enough for me to be beaten into a state of reasonableness. Now that I'm willing to surrender, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to stay sober. That has to be the most important thing in my life, or everything else goes to hell.
Right. Absolutely. So when it comes to that topic of people reaching out and so forth, is there such thing as toxic empathy? Let's put it that way. Is there such thing as maybe people doing too much? I mean, how do you draw that line? As somebody on the outside of that situation, how do you draw that line between helping, meaning that you're truly helping, and I mean, lovingly, God-given love, helping, and you're really enabling? How do you differentiate that?
Listen, my family had to put down some hard boundaries, because for an alcoholic, when we see that we can take advantage of somebody's love and manipulate them, we're going to run with that. I did. And it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So you give us an inch, we'll take a mile. So it wasn't until Nobody's picking up my phone call from jail anymore. Nobody's giving me $20, to eat or to get gas. The all that stuff stopped, a hard stop after I burnt all my bridges down to the ground. So and it wasn't until then that now I was backed up against the wall. I had nowhere else to turn but to God, which turned out to be the solution.
So was that sort of that rock bottom, or was that a separate time from when you were puking up the blood?
No, so I was throwing up the blood. That was, and that I said it was my last drink, but it actually wasn't. My last drink was the night I got arrested for a domestic violence thing, which I was in a complete blackout. I didn't even know what I had done. I had been told what I did, and it was terrible. But it was in that jail cell that was when I hit my knees and said, God, please take this from me. I can't live like this anymore. And yes, nobody would take my phone call from jail.
Well, that transition because how many years ago was that?
That was so I was in jail January 2024, so not too long ago, less than 2 years.
Less than 2 years. So in the past 2 years, is that when you've written the book and started the business and all of these things?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Holy cow, that's amazing.
yeah, it's been a trip, man. I couldn't even get a job at Walmart. I couldn't get a job at a gas station. So, I brought some spaghetti sauce and some eggplant parmesan to a group of drunks, and somebody was like, "Bro, this is the best sauce I've ever had. Where the hell did this come from? Why don't you sell this?" I'm like, "Huh, I never thought of that." And so I did.
Oh my heavens! In 2 years, basically 2 years, just over 2 years.
Less than 2 years. So my sobriety date is March 5th, 2024. June 1st was my first sale with spaghetti sauce.
Whoa.
Whoa! But here's the thing: the reason why and I'll be honest with you, this is just kicking my butt because it's like stop, buddy. The amount of hope you bring to the table is just amazing. And it's because of you getting your act together, pulling your head out of your proverbial rear end, and
Yeah.
saying, "I'm going to go make a difference." And and look at how quickly you're giving glory to God for doing it, and there's no doubt that's true. But quick question for you: what was harder, getting sober or forgiving yourself?
Ooh, that's a damn good question. Forgiving myself was way harder. I've gotten sober, countless times. I don't know how many times I've tried to get sober, but it was always the lack of forgiveness, the lack of self awareness that always prevented me from getting to this spot. The lack of unity, the lack of being of service. It was still always all for myself. It was all me, 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 what I wanted, what I needed, and I was willing to mow over everybody else around me until I got what I wanted. And I wasn't willing to surrender. Essentially surrender and lose self. And ego, there's an acronym, easing God out. When I'm filled with self and ego, there's no room for God. So I had to be broken literally into a million pieces. And then, yes, and part of the I could claim the effort and I could claim the work that I've done, and I could claim the condition. I could take credit for the condition I showed up in. But everything else, the results, it's been on God.
Here's the thing that is also just so fascinating about it all is all of us. I don't think I'm going to use myself as an example. Yes, I'm not an alcoholic. Yes, I don't have the drug addictions and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, I got the BS story that's behind me that I've been toting along, and that I'm trying to leave and escalate into life and achievement. And we
Mm-hmm.
all have got to flush that past so we can go into the future. And so all of us have that. Do you agree? Did you agree? Is that been your experience? You're interacting with people?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Everybody's got some degree of spiritual sickness and are blocked from the sunlight of the spirit. So until there's that transformative, that vital spiritual awakening, spiritual experience, and usually it has to be the consequences or the pain. In my history, that's what it was for me. I had to hit that rock bottom, but there's emotional rock bottoms too that people who aren't alcoholic can hit.
So from when you had that idea, if someone was like, "You should bottle this," take us through the process of building the business and building the book, like, writing the book. Like, what did that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, I was making so we got that first order, it was 6 cases, and so I had to start buying jars and, um, start learning how to process safely out of a galley kitchen the size of a closet, tiny, tiny space. There's sauce everywhere, it's flying everywhere. I'm burnt because now I'm cooking in a 40 quart pot, as opposed to like a little, you know. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimentation, and then the temperature you got to seal the jars at. How do you seal the jars and all that stuff? What FDA guidelines do I have to follow on the labeling? And there's just so much stuff. And then but yeah, so June 1st, I walked into a Piggly Wiggly with one jar, and the managers said, "Yes, give me 6 cases." I'm like, "Oh crap!" So I call my father, and he's like, "Well, are there any more Piggly Wigglies nearby?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's one right down the street." He's like, "Well, go there, see what happens." Did that same thing, 6 cases, and so I'm like, okay, this the little kitchen is not going to work for the volume already. So I started renting a commissary kitchen. It was like $500 a month. After going to 3 or 4 that were way more expensive, this was a god thing too. Like there was no advertisement, no nothing. I'm driving by this place. I see people unloading a van with a bunch of food. It looked like I'm like, what is going on here? It's a big building, no signs. So I pull in, start asking questions. Sure enough, it's a commissary. So I was the only shelf stable product out of 38 vendors. I worked third shift. While I'm working third shift, and I had some volunteers help me from the recovery house and stuff like that. It was so much fun. We had a blast figuring all this stuff up because now I got this big kitchen, right, to ourselves. And so I started writing, how to get into the food industry. The exact question that you asked. That's what this book started off as. And while I'm writing, I just felt inspired to tell my whole story and how it really all happened. I can't tell you how it happened without giving my testimony of where I was, like with the music industry, the kidnapping in the Bahamas, the attempted murder charges, and the legal battles, and the estrangement from my family in Connecticut. Like, if none of that happened, none of this would be happening.
Man, and I think one of the most powerful parts of your story is that you said to the Piggly Wiggly, so the local grocery store, and just, like, before you had it all figured out, you went and acted.
Yes,
And,
yes, yeah.
like, the people can spend forever learning the process and everything, but it's like, if you, like, once you have people that are committed to it, that's all the motivation you need?
It's the manifestation too. Like, prior to walking in that Piggly Wiggly, I've been listening to Neville Goddard, Napoleon Hill, and all these practices. I've actually saw my products in that store before they were in that store. I actually, the day before June 1st, before I got that sale, I walked into that store undercover with the jar, put it up on the shelf, took pictures, came outside. There was a homeless lady digging into the trash. I gave her $10. We shot a video, like as if she bought the jar at the store. The next day, that's when I went and approached the manager, and I already knew he was saying yes.
Oh my gosh, that is so spot on. And here's the thing, though. Now, and just be, I'm not looking for a specific answer. I just want the truth. If
Yeah.
you would have been told everything you had to go through before in other words, from the very beginning, if somebody would laid it out, you got to do this, 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 would you have even done it?
No. Mm-mm.
No, because
No.
you're not absolutely crazy. I mean, anybody, if you know that journey ahead of time
Yeah.
and put
Mm-mm.
before you, everybody's going to be overwhelmed by it. There's nobody that's going to do it. But the key is one step at a time. Just do it. And how many times are we told from people that have performed, like yourself or Anthony Robbins or any of
Mm.
these people, is do not ask how. You
Right.
ask what and why. Why?
Yes.
What am I going to do, and why am I doing it? And let's go.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people, and my father and brother are prime examples of this, and I break their balls all the time. Analysis paralysis
Oh,
prevents so many successes.
yes, yes.
You could have a plan, but God's going to laugh because it's going to go a different way anyway. So you might as well just take the action and fail forward in public, and not be afraid to admit, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And that's what I've done, and it's actually drawn the attention you need to fuel a business.
Well, when I did some research on you, what it literally said is this guy is not polished. It literally
No,
said that. This guy
no,
is not polished. He's not your typical CEO, okay?
no, no. I take it as I come, Todd. I mean, really, like
No, it
I, I,
is.
pre- I remain open minded, right? In the morning, I get into the zone of prayer meditation. Okay, God, what's coming next? I don't know, but whatever it is, I trust that if it's presented to me, it's for me. And I'm going to just handle it as I go. I don't have a 10-year plan. I don't have a 15-year plan. Sure, I've kind of seen it and I've visualized and I've felt what it feels like to achieve what I have in my mind. But as far as the how and the when, no idea. But the what and the why, that I know.
And that's all good. And people see your success today. I mean, and what they don't understand, you've heard the analogy of the champion in the ring, and they think he became a champion in the ring. No, he didn't. He became a champion with everything he did to get there. And so people see your success today, but what was the most humiliating moment on your way back up?
Ooh, man. So many of them, man. The most humiliating, probably the day that I left Connecticut, told my kids I'm leaving. I'm moving 1,100 miles away. And what they said to me was the most pain I've ever felt emotionally. They said, "It feels like you just died, Dad." And I left
Wow.
anyway. And I left anyway,
Well, you had
knowing
to.
it was going to hurt them. I had to, yeah.
You had to. I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but why did you have to leave?
It was so toxic, and I've caused so much damage, and the situation with the supervised visitation and all that stuff. I wasn't allowed to be a father, nor was I in the right frame of mind, nor was I mature enough. I wasn't ready to ever be a father, really. And I was so messed up, drugs and alcohol, and no recovery in sight. It was better in my mind for me to just leave and find a geographical cure and have a fresh start to build something. Had I known it was going to take 15 years to do that, I would have never done it. Because my kids needed me then, and I wasn't aware.
How old were they at the time?
6 and 4.
Oh.
Wow.
They're
How are they
19
doing?
and 17.
How are they doing today?
I just saw my daughter for the first time in 8 years last weekend.
Oh my heavens.
Yeah,
How was
it was heavy, man. It was there's so much.
Absolutely.
She
Absolutely.
sees she sees me now, and we've started building the relationship back. Nothing is too far gone. There is hope. There is a chance. But I had to get to this spot. The guy that she saw that left there, he was never going to be able to do this.
That guy is dead,
Exactly. Yeah.
never to come back.
No. No.
The the things that the thing that I love about this whole discussion is no matter what, you flush the past, you're moving forward and you're achieving, but that doesn't mean that you're not constantly repairing, that you're not constantly building relationships, that you're not constantly renewing relationships and reaching out to your obligations, to your God-given responsibilities. Despite the fact you shirked them before, you still have God-given responsibilities that you are owning.
Yes. 100%.
Welcome to
Yeah.
life, brother. Welcome to life.
It has been like, this rebirth, this resurrection. And I'm not saying I'm Jesus Christ, but man, I have gone through the fire, um, and I survived. I'm a survivor.
Oh,
So many people I know that haven't. I've watched people die from the exact same thing I got.
right,
Well,
right.
and seeing how emotional, like, it is for you even to talk about reconnecting with your daughter after all these years, um, I think, like, puts into perspective to, yeah, you've written a book, you've built this business, but how important those family connections really are.
Yeah, exactly. I took it for granted for so long. Nothing material, nothing external can replace that inner peace and those relationships with family. And I do have a responsibility, Todd. You're absolutely right. I have to. My primary purpose, really, above all else, is to stay sober and help other alcoholics. Or otherwise, all of this is gone. Even the relationship with my daughter.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, you have a reason to do it. And it's not just about your health. It's not just about your life. It is a
Mm-mm.
reason that is above and beyond you.
Yes,
Therefore, it's sealed, brother. It is sealed. You've got this. But it's still 1 hour at a time, one
that's
day at a
right.
time, 1 week
Yeah.
at a time, 1 month at a time. But you just keep that vision in front of you and you've got it.
Yeah, and I get to be present today, and that is so important. I have to be in the moment at all times. Like I'm guilty of future tripping. I'm guilty of dwelling on the past and wishing things went different and having regrets and remorse. But I've worked through all that stuff, by taking a moral inventory and looking at the causes and conditions of everything. Seeing it in black and white where I really screwed up. And it was self-centered fear, 100 forms of fear. I was always afraid. I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the faith. I didn't have the hope. I didn't have the power. Lack of power has been my dilemma this entire time. So until I was willing and open-minded enough to tap into a power greater than myself, again, none of this is happening.
You said that you didn't have the power. He was always there. You
That's right.
always had
Yeah.
the power. You just
Yep.
didn't realize it.
I didn't realize it. Yeah, exactly. Yep. You're exactly right. Thank you for that correction. You're absolutely right.
Oh, I love that you said moral inventory. I've never heard that before, but I think that that's such a powerful thing to take that moral inventory of, like, of our lives, especially as we're coming up on a new year. People often, like, make all sorts of goals, but what's our moral inventory? I don't know, that just really stuck with me, you
Y-
saying
So,
that.
so this is not original. This is not an original thing. I didn't come up with it, so I can't take credit for this stuff. Bill Wilson, the founder of an organization for alcoholics, he outline this program of spiritual action, and in it is this moral inventory, which really is just these columns. Like I write down all the people I'm resentful towards. Then the second column is I write down what the harm was. What did they do to me that got me so fired up? Why was I so angry? The third column is what it affected. Was it my self-esteem? Was it my ambition? Was it my pocketbook? Was it my sexual relationship? My personal relationship? Was I fearful? And then the fourth column, which is really what they call the turnaround, is where was I? What was my part in it? So what role did I play in all of those relationships? And how did that self-centered fear affect all that stuff? And a lot of times it was, I stepped on the toes of others and they retaliated, and that's why I was hurt. But I was there in all those situations. It was me. If I'm not the problem, there is no solution. But I,
Oh, that is golden, buddy. That is golden. So many times, I literally, and I know this is extreme, but I said to my daughters, I have 3 daughters growing up, and I said, heaven forbid that I don't even want to say what I say to them. But the bottom line, I'm not going to say it here, but the bottom line is I say, no matter what happens to you in life, whether you're truly a victim or not, you have to own it. Because the
Mhm.
only way you can change it is if you own it.
You have to identify it. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of people just go through life without ever doing that. It was vital for me. I couldn't move forward until I took a look at all that stuff. And then what was even harder than writing it down and looking at it was sharing it with another human being. Because all that shame, guilt, I was like, I was taking some of that stuff to the grave.
Quick
And I
question
did.
for you. So as you
Mhm.
shared it with a human being, as you shared it, I know it's difficult. It's tough to go in and have that conversation. As you shared it, as you dumped this onto somebody else and shared it with them, what was the outcome? What happened?
Man, to my surprise, this person had been through a lot of the same similar things. He could relate, and then I didn't feel alone anymore. And then I felt like uplifted, like 1,000 pounds just got off my shoulders, and I could face the world. I could look the world in the eye and not be afraid.
Wow. Wow. And isn't it fascinating? You keep bringing up fear. And isn't it fascinating? Scripturally, it says, thou shalt not fear.
Hmm.
And he repeats it over and over
Oh
and
yeah.
over again. And you look at all of this hell that you're talking about was culminated because of fear.
Yes. Yep. Listen, my old sponsor. He passed away almost a year ago this week, and man was simple man from Alabama, an iron worker, right? The most unlikely for me to identify with. But he says, if you're gonna pray, why worry? If you're gonna worry, why pray?
Oh, I love that.
Oh, oh, that is
Y-
awesome.
God's not out there in the future. He's got the future. We don't. So why spend all this energy fearing what's to come, the unknown? Like, you drive yourself crazy. Just give it, let it go. Let it go. We're not there. The future is tomorrow. It's not today.
So if the world forgets everything about you except one lesson, what do you
Hmm.
hope it is?
I mean, oof, I guess the resilience. Just don't give up on yourself. I hope I hope that's the message. I hope that just, you can find just a spark of self-love, enough self-love to just not give up on yourself, because I had I have given up on myself and was chasing ghosts and chasing spirits in bottles and substance and power and money and fame and fortune, and it was so shallow. Um, and I hated myself. I hated myself, but once I was completely broken and I had the grit and the fortitude and the awareness to trust, trust God and move forward, and that's what I hope people can get out of my story is just don't give up.
And along with that, I wanna, dive a little bit more into how you talked about the manifesting.
Mm,
Because the fact that you want put your bottle on the shelf, had a homeless lady, like, take a video with her outside. So, like, what else have you done with manifesting to help you not give
yeah.
up,
Um,
to help you move forward?
so this is gonna sound crazy. All right. Um, so the first book from Bars to Jars is nonfiction. It's a memoir. Um, I had sent my manuscript over to Angel Studios, who did The Chosen. I was binge watching The Chosen, and I keep on seeing Angel Studios, 101 Studio, all these studios, Angel Studio. But anyway, I went on LinkedIn, I sent over my manuscript and just rolled the dice. Okay. Thinking that, I started seeing a vision form of bringing this story to screen somehow, some way. I don't know exactly what I was thinking, but I did. I sent the manuscript, took that shot in the dark. About a month later, they hit me back and are like, "This is exactly the kind of stuff we're looking for." And they encouraged me to film a torch pilot, which I had no idea what that was. I had to look that up. So now I'm looking for producers who can film a torch pilot based on this book here. And it's been a long process. So I started writing a second book called The Harvest, right? To scale the sauce business, I looked into traditional methods, which is, the natural progression is outsourced production. So you make mass quantities of it to handle the demand that was coming in. Because I'm getting calls from all kinds of retailers. Like, it's all wide open now. The whole food industry is open to me, and they want the product because we did so well with the 15 stores we had. So I'm going through the process of looking up all these co-manufacturers, and nothing's hitting. And then so I'm getting this vision, this calling, whatever, to build a farm, a regenerative farm where people could come. It's a sanctuary. It's people are finding purpose. Veterans who just got out of war, who don't know what to do with themselves. They're crazy. They don't feel like they have a purpose anymore because the war is over or whatever. People in recovery, people getting out of jail, and put them to work. Staffing agency for veterans and temporary housing, 1,700 acres. I mean, there's a lot you could do with 3 square miles. So I started visualizing that and writing the second book, The Harvest, as if I already had the farm. And it's fiction, and it's all. But since writing that, and I'm not done. Right, I got about 100 pages left to write, give or take. So much more has happened. Everything, things that I've written in that book have happened. Um, the fact that producers and certain people are reaching out and getting involved, and I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Well, you kind of can. I did. I made it up, but it's happening in real time.
And was manifesting something that you had done before in your life, or was this like a new thing for you?
Kind of new. I mean, prior to June 1st, I had been doing it for about a month. So in these teachings, Neville Goddard, and if you focus on the lack and the negative, you'll bring more of it. You'll actually delay the blessings. So it's like, sure, acknowledge it. Like the bank account is overdrawn. Look at it, but don't let it, like sink in that that's your reality. Nah, I disregard that, and I start acting as if I got $10 million in the bank, and I walk around as if I got it.
You're the conqueror, man. You're kicking butt and taking names.
Yeah, those negative things, man, I'm not going to let that affect me or define me. Hell no. I did that. I did that for a long time, and didn't work.
Wow.
Like, seriously, this is why I love doing podcasts early in the morning, because it really is like a motivational like TED Talk for us, that we get to like pick your brain and ask you these questions, because I'm leaving this being like, I can do anything,
You really
like
can't.
if you can start a sauce company, like, because I feel like the food industry, like processing, that's hard stuff, and you did that, we can all do whatever it is that we need
Whatever.
to in our life.
Right. And so and so in the interim of doing this film, the second book, the scaling the sauce and all that, I got the wild idea to start doing perfumes. I'm actually a certified FDA approved cosmetics manufacturer now too.
In 2 years. In 2 years, everybody. In less than 2 years.
Yeah. Yep. It can happen. It is possible.
I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
When you stand at the end of your life and look back,
Mm-hmm.
how do you want God to describe the man you became after the jars?
Salt and light. Salt and light.
Ooh, good stuff.
That's it. I don't think I need to explain. It's attraction, not promotion. And I have been, by the grace of God, a light for other sufferers. And that has been one of the most fulfilling. Yeah. That's a bright spot in my life, is watching others recover and get what I got.
It's awesome. Idiot to genius. It's when the individual right to fail unleashes the unlimited potential to succeed. In
Oof.
summary, it's called freedom.
Amen. Yeah. Wow. It sure is. I feel free. I'm happy, joyous, and free. These are the golden years for me. Did it hurt? Yes, it did. It sure did. And but the peace and the comfort and the joy and the privilege is just beyond words.
The thing is, pain is part of life. Suffering is a choice.
Yeah.
You're engaging in the pain and literally getting to the point you're enjoying the struggle. You're enjoying the pain. You refuse to suffer.
Yeah. Something my father always was harping on, and I never listened to him, was like, learn to enjoy the process, good, bad, or indifferent. Just get used to loving the process, and you'll never work a day in your life.